Welcome, Andrew. So today here we have Andrew, who's been on the journey of the creator with me for the last 4 months. And Andrew, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the creator because you've been such a committed and dedicated student of that process. So, Andrew, can you introduce yourself first to our audience?
Well, how are you, audience? It's been a wonderful journey. I'm actually very grateful that I met Shalini, and it's been quite an excellent journey. And I'll introduce myself. I am Andrew Mosetti. I am slightly young but old enough, and I am currently in the space of entrepreneurship, specifically in the financial markets. And it's a journey that I started. It has been there for years, but I started recently getting on it full time. And I enjoy it because it's something that has helped me to redefine my purpose and my goals. And I'm happy to be here.
Excellent. Thank you, Andrew. It's been very
Yeah.
exciting to have you on this journey because I don't remember if you recall, but I always told you how much you motivated me as a facilitator. So thank you for that. So,
Okay.
Andrew, tell us what enticed you to join the creator, and then what was your experience around this 4 month process? Like, what changed for you? Maybe you can even tell us what you liked about the process in addition to what changed for you. And of course, lastly, you'll even maybe tell the audience why they should join. You know, what benefits you think they could have from this journey.
Oh,
So over to you.
all right. Those are packed questions. I'll try to answer them in bits and in granular details. So let me start with what really enticed me. First of all, I remember meeting you and your sister, Saloni. And because I had worked with Saloni before and she had told me about you, and it was not really in much detail. Then, when we met in person, you really explained a lot about goals, about dreams, about your self-identity, and the key things that really spoke out and really spoke volumes. The need for self-identity and realigning your identity with your goals. And those few words really stuck with me. And the fact that you were able to see it through me even before we got to the training, it really gave me a lot of motivation. And that's how I got um, I can say I got hooked. Yeah, but not in the sense of like taking a substance or what. But yes, it got me interested to want to know more about the program. And then I remember we had a few discussions when you explained about the programs that you normally carry out. Then I kind of took my time, and then we started off with business training, which really opened up my eyes. And the more we were training through the programs, the more we were doing the exercises, I realized that it was more about looking inwards than outwards, because I've worked for more than 14. Now I'm finishing 14th year, maybe the 14th year, yes, because I started officially working in 2011. And even during campus, yes, there was some work and all that, but I cannot quantify that. But what I can say is that I have lived a life that is fulfilling in terms of career. And I've won badges of honor, being a good salesperson, the best manager, best this and that. But then one thing has remained constant, that the income has been capped at a certain level, and I felt the desire to grow. Now, that desire to want to grow is what really drove me, and I felt like getting to this program before that getting to this program would actually get me to now understand more about myself, or what maybe I was giving away a lot of my game, and people were using it now for their own benefit. And the benefit was now not circling back to me. So that now made me now realign and reassess and really look back. Yeah, it's something I was doing on my own. And what enticed me is that I liked the fact that we were doing it as a group, and there was a structured process which made sense at every step of the way. So that actually really worked out for me. So I've answered two questions in one. But the first thing that I can say, the thing that enticed me to join the program was my desire for growth and the course program, the details as you had shared, they really aligned with where I want to go. And those two things, when they aligned, then I felt like there's really nothing else holding me back. Just a matter of making the decision and getting myself ready for the program. Yeah. And I can say that so far it has really worked out for me because number one, the key thing, the first lesson that we had, and I know I've said it a few times. We studied about making a decision and getting your goals right. How do you set your goals? Do you just say, I want to make a certain amount of money and you don't even, of course, it's not about knowing how to raise that money from zero to $1 million if that's your goal. It is, do you really have it as a goal? Is it something that is inborn in you that you want to grow? And that's the one thing that came out for me, that the desire comes out from something inside of you, which now we call identity. And that identity crisis that we have been having, especially myself, been having a lot of identity crisis. And it feels like some job titles were defining my identity, some associations, like I want to be in this group, in this community, in this kind of setup, then I'll feel like now I'm someone. But then I felt like when I was writing down the goals, I'm saying these goals should actually not just reveal, but also should improve my identity. So that is the one thing that worked out for me because it was not just writing down, oh, I want to move to Spain. I want to move to whichever. Yes, those are, like you say, those are C goals or B goals, depending on your current level or my current level for the matter of for the sake of in a manner of speaking. But then, so what happens next once you fulfill your goals? I kept on asking myself this, even right now. I'm on this journey of getting to my goals. Yes, I'm in the step of moving from level one to two to three in that manner. But what will happen next? And then I noticed that even in this program, you can even go back and readjust your goals and write them to fit your current status and now revise it like, yes, I'm now, it's like climbing a mountain. Let me just use that analogy. You have moved from the first peak, maybe let's assume there are 10 peaks. You have moved from the first peak, you have gone up to the fifth. So you need a different strategy from going to the fifth to the 10th, because the higher you go, the colder it is, the cooler it is, you face different challenges that were not there. So what I liked about this activity is that I noticed that even as I was writing some of the goals, even as I was doing some of the exercises, I realized that I needed to make some adjustments. And it's a good thing that even during the program, you made it very clear that this will happen. And sometimes you'll feel like, maybe it was a bit simplistic. I need to improve it. And I kept on rewriting my goals, even right now as we speak. Um, I've rewritten, this is now the third time I'm going through my statement again, even after finishing the program. So when I do that, I've noticed that this is not academic program. It's a self-improvement, it's a self-work program. Yeah. And that's what I liked about the program, that as I do it, I realize that sometimes your level of success is defined by the improvement of self. Yeah. Because we feel like, yes, uh, having all these material things around us makes us feel successful, and they're good. I actually accept that this success will definitely start bringing up, manifesting some physical results. But then, as the physical results are coming up, then um, what am I becoming? Yeah, what have I become in the process of getting towards that goal? So that is what really came out for me. Now, the what I've just explained is what I learned about identity and the self-image. Yeah, because I kept reading back and back and forth and back and forth, and it came out to me that yes, your self-image is what determines how fast you grow and how fast you bounce back when you meet a temporary defeat or a temporary circumstance that takes you back. So yeah, so that's really what came out for me. And for whoever is watching, I would say if that desire came and you come across Shalini somewhere in Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, when you meet this program, when you meet her, that is just the universe telling you that there's something you need to change, there's something you need to work on, and just jump into the program. The rest will be figured out. So that's all I can say, because we do a lot of analysis, especially people like myself, especially the men. We tend to overcalculate, overthink, and really want to get deeper details. But then once you get the deeper details and you've not made a decision about it, then what was the point of doing those research steps? Because I know I ask a lot of questions, but then when I got the answers, then I ask myself, so yes, you've gotten the answers. This is what the program provides, and this is what the program is able to achieve. So what are you gonna do about it? So I just thought to myself, if this program ties with any one of your goals, just get in and then the rest will just fall into place. So that's all I have for now, unless there's anything you'd want me to either clarify or talk about. But I can say I'm really grateful.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you for sharing. There are a couple of things that you mentioned that I want to highlight here. So you said how it's who you become in the process of achieving your goal, right? It's not so much about achieving the goal. And that's exactly what Bob teaches us in the first lesson when we set our goals, right? Because after you achieve them, what's next? Right? You go to the next goal. So it's all about who you become in the process. So that's very profound. And then I love how you talked about identity. Your self-image sets the bar for everything. So when you face a temporary defeat, as you said, it gives you the threshold to bounce back. It's what determines how far you can go. And see, Andrew, this world is all about strategies, right? Everybody wants to implement some kind of strategy. They want to educate themselves. They want to gain more skills, more talent. There's nothing wrong with that. But then the problem here is that, your self-image doesn't allow you to actually get to where you want. It holds you down here, right? And this is where your goal is, up here. So until you don't align your self-image, your self-identity, it's not that easy to get to where it is that you want to. But of course, there are millions of people who are also successful. So we call them unconscious competence because they have gotten to where they wanted to unknowingly, unconsciously, right? So, Andrew, I just want you to tell me in one or two sentences, before we wind up, that what transformation has this program driven for you?
Let me pick it out to the statement of quality versus quantity. The quality of my work, both professional and personal, has really changed because I used to have goals. I still have them. But then the way I used to write down my goals was a list of things. And I remember sharing that. I used to have like resolutions. I have like 50 things I want to do for the year. Then I would divide them into timelines. But then I noticed anytime I would go back to my goals and look at them, maybe I've only crossed like three or four things. And then I would start being worried or anxious that I've not achieved my goals, forgetting to look at the three, I look at the 47 and done. And probably my mental state was only able to accommodate the three things. So what has changed for me is that I've now realigned the way I set my goals into quality over quantity. I only need to have one goal, work on it, achieve it, and then now improve it to goal number two or three. And how I did it is when we had that process of having the A type, C type, B type goal, I started with the C type goal, then I broke it down to B, and I said, no, I don't need to work on it, because even Bob Proctor says in that training when you took us through that if you know how to own a certain car, and he was giving an example, let's say you own a Mazda, and now you're setting a goal that I want a new car, a Mazda, then even your mental state will not even push you towards getting that goal because you already know how to achieve it. But if you now get to B type goal or C, then even your level of desire will also increase. So that's what has changed for me, that I don't set any A type goals anymore. I now start with I now go to B and C, because I say if I know how to make $1,000, then having a goal of $1,000 is not a goal. That's just a target. Yeah. So that's the main thing that really stood out for me. And also I reduced the number of activities, because I know I had like I said, I had a list of things. So I said, no, let me just have three things that I want to achieve. Then I break it down to maybe two activities. Then once those activities have been perfected or gotten to a place of achievement, then now we can go back to the other things that we need, that I feel like I need to achieve. So those two things, the setting of goals and then the habits and activities that lead me towards those goals. Those are the key things that really stood out for me, and that's what I've actually achieved right now. Yeah, the type of habits that I need to incorporate, even the kind of conversations. The, I can tell you openly. I know this is going to be it might be controversial. There's some phone calls I don't pick nowadays, because I already know the kind of conversation that is going to come out of there will not have any value, whether it's social, whatever kind of value, whatever name you want to put on it. I know this person will pick that call. I mean, they'll talk, and probably they're just venting out their frustration. I am glad to be a person to listen, but then I'll not that conversation will not lead to a decision. Okay. So I started looking at what are these time wasters, the conversations, the kind of chats that we used to have. Sometimes I'll be on 2 hours chat with someone and I try to find out what I've really achieved. Nothing has come out. So those are the things that I've really weeded out, like the way you're doing gardening, you pick out the weeds, the things that they look like plants, but then they are sucking out the main nutrients for the growth. So those kind of activities I've managed to do like 60% of that. Of course, there are one or two that come up and they sneak in like a certain phone call, a very important call, and then it doesn't really, or you're given a promise, oh, I have a deal for you, but you'll have to give me a week. Then they pick details from you, then they disappear, then they come back after 1 week. Then they want to get your details again, the details of what you're providing. It's like they're taking you back in circles. So I cannot avoid those type of inquiry. I'm sure even in your business, you've come across such calls. Somebody comes in and tells you, oh, Shalini, I need training. Then you take them through what you do, you give them the rate, and then they go. Then they come back, take you back through the same cycle. I've experienced that in the last few months, and I've now learned how to filter that out and remove the wastage and just like I said in the let me use the analogy of a wrestling match. You want to finish the match and you've seen that the opponent is weak. I'm not a wrestling person, so I'm just using this analogy to try to drive my point across. That you want to finish the match, you just go for the weakest muscle, and then you make sure you squeeze it enough for that person to surrender. So, yeah, I'm sure you'll figure that out. Uh, so when such conversations come, I've now learned how to conclude them without having to go through a whole 20 minutes of wastage, especially if it's a conversation that was there before, and just go straight to the main decision. Yeah, because I used to experience that even when I was employed in my sales career. I would just tolerate somebody because they bought something, so now they need something new, and then they take me through another 1 hour of wastage. So what I've done is I've cut out the wastage. I've worked on my habits to ensure that I only get to do the things that bring the most value. And
Yeah,
if it's those things that are important but really not urgent, I really put them at the back of the deck. If I really have to do them, if I really have to speak to someone, maybe a social call, I'll put it at the least productive hours of the day. Yeah, and then and the quality of my work has really improved because I'm now focused on just one task, get it done. Once it's done, then we can now I can now start considering other things. Yeah.
thank you, Andrew. So you've talked about how you're going for goals that you really want to achieve rather than something you already know how to achieve, right? So
Yes.
that's number one. And then improvement of focus, which is very,
Mhm.
very important, of course, when you want to achieve your goals. Thank you for sharing. Do you want to mention anything around, very briefly, around your transition from what you are doing, in employment to, how you transition out of that? Did
Mhm.
this help you in that process?
Yes, definitely. Actually, that was one of the main thing that stood out, especially when we got through the decision. Like right from the first lesson on decision, I had already started cultivating the thought of transitioning from being dependent to being not really self-dependent, but being in a place where I don't really have to depend on a system. Yeah, so it started from decision, and then I wrote the goal, and then there was the fear factor. I started having fears. Of course, I'm now facing those fears, and they're as real as Halloween for some people. But of course, I don't believe in that. Yes, and yes, now I'm really facing those fears. But what the program has helped me to do during the transition is to address the fear, the terror barrier, and not just address it by facing it, addressing it by now filling it with what this new opportunity has in store for me. Yeah, not just looking at what I have lost, but looking at what I'm set to gain if I just continue with the focus and building the right habits and building the and doing the actual activities that I need to focus on that gives me the best results. Yeah. So
Thank you,
that's all.
Andrew.
Yeah.
Thank you, and congratulations once again for choosing yourself, for
Mm,
investing in yourself and being committed
yeah.
to driving towards your growth. Choosing that, yes, I want to do something different in my life. I don't want to keep getting the same results year in, year
Mm,
out. So thank you so
mhm,
much for being here, and thank you for those who are watching.
mhm.